Good afternoon, everyone. And you know, when I speak, everyone expects me to talk about technology, what is latest in tech, um, AI, and frankly, I won't do that today, right? Because we are, while we are called a tech company, we are at the heart of it, very core, a consumer company, right? Our job and our we have rich data, but we also have immense understanding of what consumers are doing across 700 towns in India. Interestingly, I'm just coming from China. I just landed back yesterday, studying their food ecosystem and restaurant ecosystem for a week in Shanghai. And I think coming from China is quite humbling because whenever we think we have scale, just multiply everything by 50 times. That's the scale they're operating. Just to give you a sense, food delivery in India, we do about 5 million orders a day, give or take, right? They do 90 million on every day, right? So it's not about 2x, 3x, it's about 50x. You take any category, it's exact. So the multiple is 30 to 50x. But I'll weave in a few learnings because I think um, our philosophy as a company is whenever we start thinking we have become a large company, we want to become a very small company, right? In mindset. And I'll not talk about the usual trends you hear because which is what's happening to biryani consumption and which is the favorite cuisine and what's growing fast because you keep hearing about that. Let me share with you 5 or 6 big trends that we are seeing emerging. क्या होता है ना कि what will become big 5 years later is what is emerging today. And that is when you make fundamental business bets, that is far more important sometimes than what is large today on what is accelerating as growth. Number one is there is genuinely India is digitally equalized and financially unequal. Let me explain. Brands had a very hard job back in the day, right? Where the only way to reach a city was to launch the city, put up hoardings, put up television commercials, etc. Today, you'll be surprised that when I traveled, and I personally been to 70 towns in India in the last 2 years, right? Including tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. Even in the last town, the person watching the Instagram reel is watching the same reel as somebody in South Bombay. They know the brand before it reaches. They know the trend. They know the Korean trend also. It's only about how much money do they have in hand. One, and culturally what's acceptable there, which is also changing very fast. So one is, I think we have an unprecedented opportunity to scale up like we never did before. Because the sheer cost of marketing has gone down dramatically. Today, a young brand should and can think of being in 200 towns in India. Because frankly, you don't need to be physically do everything yourself. There is channels available. There is medium available where you are actually doing great content sitting in one location and it's being consumed all across India. So that's, and definitely happening in food. Second thing is, India is experimenting with all kinds of food. So it's wrong to say that this is happening and that is not happening. So I'll give you examples. 5 years back, Japanese cuisine was considered new. I'm talking metro towns, let's say top 10 metros. But today, there is a Peruvian restaurant in Bangalore. There's Ethiopian food. These are cuisines nobody would have thought of. You'll go to New York or London and try this, but they're actual genuine. I'm not saying they are the dominant trends, but the fact is that there's a certain part of Indian consumers, especially the rich and premium consumers, which have moved beyond Japanese, right? And they're looking for very, very international cuisine. So there's that India, definitely. Then there's a India where in a tier 3 town in Bihar, when a Domino's or a McDonald's is opening, that's a big news in that town. That's the dating place. That's the party place. Nobody goes to date in a Domino's in Delhi, right? You go to the cool cafe or you go to the bar. But there, that becomes the attraction. So I think there's a part of India which is discovering, which knew about this brand, which are having access to these brands today. And it is fascinating, where this is happening and that is also happening. Second thing, again, I call it the Instagram effect. India is becoming far more united in its food choices. It's actually not as divided as we think it is. It's actually far more united. Our data shows that. I'll give you an example. Standing here in Bombay, it's a good example to take. 5 years back, Modak during Ganpati was a very, very Maharashtra thing. Maybe parts of Karnataka, right? Nobody would know what a Modak is in Calcutta or in Jaipur or anywhere else. Today, a Balram Malik will sell Modak during Ganpati in Calcutta. I'm a Calcutta boy, I grew up there. I can tell you it is unheard of. Why is it happening? It's very simple. There are lakhs of reels on Modak, which somebody in Calcutta is seeing, or a Bhubaneswar is seeing, and saying, what the hell is this? Seems interesting, let me try. So when we, like Onam, another example. I'm ashamed to admit that I had this wonderful food called Sadhya, first time 3 years back in Kerala, during Onam. But this Onam, I live in Gurgaon. During Onam, I see flyers of at least 15, 20 restaurants saying pre-book your Sadhya meal in Gurgaon. We launched Sadhya as a trial base in Bombay, Bangalore, and a few places. I thought maybe it'll sell, not sell, who knows. Everything got sold out in an hour. There's no capacity we had to serve more because it was pre-booking, because Sadhya requires a certain level of prep. And I can give you 50 such examples. The cuisine which is growing the fastest today on a very small base is actually Pahadi food. Bihari cuisine is growing 2x. So in a very, look, I think we are very sometimes punishing on ourselves and see, oh, our culture is getting lost. Nostalgia is getting lost. The flavors of India as we knew are getting lost. I actually see something very different. Today, kind of food is being discovered all across India, which had no chance of getting discovered earlier. There's a supper club I went to in Powai, run by a brilliant young chef. She's Himachali. That supper club is based on Himachali food. Now tell me how many of you have had authentic Himachali food? Very few. Authentic Pahadi food? Very few. Authentic Bihari cuisine? Very few. But I think so that is a very dominant trend, that cuisines which are really powerful, which have a history, legacy, and good taste, are absolutely exploding all across. So those who are good at it should know that the market is not regional anymore. It is regional only in your imagination. If you think South India won't consume North Indian sweets, it's your problem. It's not South India's problem. And vice versa. Because you are imagining it won't. But it will. Third thing, health, food. Favorite topic? I think it has flattered to deceive for multiple years. I always say that India talks about health food on Instagram and chole bhature in WhatsApp, right? And we see a fascinating trend. Every second January, not first, because people still have the hangover, right? Every second January, all health brands grow like this. 100% year on year, 200% week on week growth. And you believe, finally, India has arrived on health, okay? And predictably, by 22nd of January, they start declining, right? That's just data, where it I think correlates very strongly with gym memberships. So as you know, most gym memberships spike in the first week of January, where you do the New Year resolution saying, this is that year when nobody's going to stop me. I'm going to wake up every day at 5 a.m., go to the gym. Same time, all health brands spike, right? And predictably by 17th January, in fact, we all have our we learned it so nicely that we have our systems organized that way now. कि third week के बाद वो गिरेगा मेरे को पता है, right? But there's a but. There's a 2 or 3 trends which are growing very strongly again thanks to very strong social influence. ऐसा नहीं कि डॉक्टर्स ने बताया तो लोगों को पता चला है. I used to run a hospital chain for 5 years, I know that. Protein is strong. Anything to do with protein is flying, right? Because protein has suddenly become in the last 1 year, literally 1 year, not a subject matter of a niche consumption. It has become a matter of mass, almost bordering hysteria, right? Where everybody is telling you that itna gram protein din mein khana hai, nahi khana hai. Now that's great because it's actually good. We have sometimes not the best of food available to us in terms of nutritional value. The second trend is definitely low sugar or sugar, no added sugar. Let me be very specific. What is not going to work in India for sure and 100% certain on it is food which doesn't taste good. वो अगर कोई बना रहा है और बोलेगा कि इंडिया कभी ना कभी खाएगा, नहीं खाएगा इंडिया. ये my forever prediction on India is this, that India will not consume not food which is not tasty. So it's our job to find the perfect match between nutrition, health and taste. Whichever way we want to do it. Right? वो तो नहीं होगा. Last, I have 2 minutes 50 seconds left. So I'll leave you with an anecdote to explain how diverse our country is and how beautiful it is. So I'm a very early riser. So I in summers at least, I am up by 5 a.m., right? And I'm an early sleeper as well, yeah. So I was like, on the Swiggy menu, I couldn't find breakfast properly, right? So I called my team and say, why is breakfast not on? You know, it's morning. So they said, Rohit, breakfast starts at 8. I said, why? There are people like me who are up and who want something to eat. Like, why not? So I said, show me data on what is selling at 5 a.m. Because we run 24 hours operations, right? I got the data, I was shocked. Chole bhature, pizza, burger. So then I realized this is not India which is waking up to breakfast. This is the part of India having dinner and going to sleep. Right? In my head, that I could never have figured that at 5 a.m. there's an India going to sleep. And whether we call them teenagers, whether we call them Gen Z, whether we call them night owls, that late night, for example, is an exploding trend. India is doing business when we sleep. Right? So I can go on and on. We have 50 such trends that, you know, we observe, and my job is not to judge any trend. कि लोग रात को खाना क्यों खा रहे हैं, right? My job is simply to observe कि there's a demand, there's a need, and show up and cater to that, right? Demand, as long as it is something which is absolutely needed by society. Last on tech, I think tech will change many things, but I'll leave you with one example. In India, we are still now struggling with how to give a delivery partner 2 orders together. Because you know what? If delivery costs go down, the market will explode 2x. It's simple maths. I was in Shanghai. Every rider delivers 8 orders together, 8 to 10. It is crazy. I was blown away, right? And hence, those riders are also earning 5x. And the cost of delivery for the consumer has gone down by 50%. And the market has expanded by 100% because of that. Because people are just buying more. Now, when we ask the question, how they are able to do it, my answer is they have solved packaging, for example. The packaging in this country, nothing moves. You ship a cake, right? We think cake नहीं जाता है. We think pizza नहीं जाता है ठीक से, right? वहाँ पे केक को हमने उल्टा कर दिया, वो गिरा नहीं केक. So I think there's a lot to learn. I think that we are at a very, very early stage of the market. I think we are blessed to have the population we have. We are blessed to have the market we have. We are blessed to be in a point where the country will explode and food takes off. when GDP per capita takes off, right? I think we are at a great point. We will not be shortchanged by our consumers. If we don't act properly, we may shortchange our consumers, but the consumers are waiting for us to show up for them with great products, great prices, and a great experience. Thank you so much.